Do you ever find yourself frozen? Just totally paralyzed in fear? Well, today I want to work on that. I want to help you understand, again, how to work through and work around your fears. And we're going to do it with systems. Hi, I'm Brett, your favorite shrink, and welcome. Welcome to My 5 Minds. This is where we're going to learn a new neuropsychology called systemology. And you're going to learn how to get your brain to work in one direction and one purpose to help you be more, do more, and feel better. Today specifically, I've called this one Frozen in Fear. I was working with a young high school student, and he couldn't get his work done. He couldn't do any of his assignments. He was basically failing out of school because he couldn't get himself on task. Now, you may not be in school and you may not be in high school, but I want you to listen to what we're going to do because I think it's very much going to apply to your situation as well. Let's first take what's going on and see if we can mind map it. See if we can look at what's going on within his 5 minds. Now, what we notice right off the bat as we start plotting his system is that he's reporting he's being frozen. So let's put that into our body mind, which I call B. In our body mind, what it focuses on is the fight, flight, or freeze response. And clearly, he's in a frozen response. Well, where's that frozenness coming from? Well, it comes from his emotional mind. I call her Emma, but emotional mind works as well. And what's going on is Emma is feeling threatened. Emma is feeling like something's wrong. She's feeling like that she's under attack. And she's sending off alarm signals. Those are going to B, which is shutting him down. Well, where are those alarm signals coming from? Well, as we start to plot it out even more, we look at what's going on with Rio, or what I call your right neocortex. Rio is picturing these terrible, awful things. Rio is imagining himself failing out. And he's seeing himself flunking. And he's seeing himself unsuccessful, unable to accomplish what he wants. Well, where are those thoughts coming from? Well, most likely, they're coming from his twin brother, Rio, which is our left neocortex. Leo is thinking things like, I'm going to fail. I can't do this. And then Rio, of course, is taking all those wonderful, great ideas and beginning to picture and imagine what that would look like, which is setting off Emma, which floods her with anxiety, which then sets out B, or the body mind, to go into the frozen response. As we look at creating change, we gotta identify the pattern. That's our first step. So in setting up our mind map, what we're hopefully doing is we're bringing up your awareness and consciousness up into the highest part of your brain, which is just what I call your conscious mind. So here in our conscious mind, we're going to observe and notice anxiety is flooding. We're noticing anxiety is flooding. But here's the important part. As we become conscious, we have to see that the anxiety is not coming from the outside. What we have to see in our mind map is that our anxiety is coming from the inside. As long as this kid of ours thinks that the anxiety is something that's at school or something that's really happening in his world, he's going to remain frozen and powerless to make the changes he needs. So the first thing he has to do is recognize he's doing this to himself, and this is how. Next part of our process is we got to interrupt. We got to interrupt the old pattern. So what I decided to do was I decided to work with his right neocortex, his creative brain. We could have interrupted him with any of the 5 minds, but I thought, let's do this one first and see how it goes. Being a kid, I thought it'd be really easy for him to tap into his creative mind. So what I did was I asked him to draw me a picture. He wanted me to draw what he saw his anxiety looking like. And this is kind of basically what he drew. What he had was in the middle a clock, because a lot of his anxiety is about time. And where that really is coming from is time represents a symbol of he doesn't have enough. Time, a clock, actually can show him how much he has or how much he doesn't have. And so since his fear is based in he doesn't have enough time, the clock is a trigger for his anxiety. And then from the clock outwards, he imagined these kind of strings or fingers or kind of darkness that stretched out through his body. Once he'd drawn the picture, what I asked him to do is continue to use his creative mind and tell me, what do you think it's saying? What do you think it's doing? By doing that, what we were doing is beginning to activate Leo, or his left neocortex, his thinking mind. And by activating his thinking mind, he was actually creating for himself a sense of paralysis through his own analysis. We all do it all the time, and I'm sure I'll talk a lot more about it. But here we're going to use it in a positive way. I'm going to ask him to begin to pull out his anxiety and start analyzing it, which isolates it into his left neocortex. As he starts asking why, what are you here? What are you doing? All of a sudden, he starts creating a new image for himself. And the new image that he was creating was that this string thing, this monster, wasn't a monster at all. He could imagine that it was starting to create strings around his heart. It was a shield. It was there to protect his heart. But what was happening, it was squeezing and it was crushing his heart, which was creating this sense of anxiety in his emotional mind and then causing him to freeze and become frozen through his body mind. So as he started to see this anxiety differently, he then began to imagine himself loosening the grip. Imagine talking to it and telling it it's okay. We actually used a bottle as a metaphor. And if I was to hold this bottle and I squeezed it too hard, I'd crush it. And that's what his anxiety was doing. It was trying to hold something, but it was holding it too hard, too tight, and it was crushing his heart. The reverse is also the problem too. If he's too relaxed, too loose, too comfortable, he'll drop whatever it is he's trying to hold and protect. So the visual, the example helped him begin to see he needs to keep his anxiety at just the right level. Not too hard because he didn't want to crush, and not too soft because he didn't want to drop. Well, that helped him begin to create a sense of power and empowerment. It gave him an idea of what he was supposed to do and how he was going to achieve it. That simple metaphor made all the difference in the world. He came back next week feeling like, yeah, I had some anxiety, but I was able to talk to it. I was able to talk to it and say, it's okay. I was able to imagine that string thing that we had, and I was able to let it know that it can loosen up. It can let go and relax a little bit. And it really helped. Well, here's my assignment for you today, is I want you to see if you can use your creative mind to begin to access your emotions, like fear, and see if you can begin to create a picture around what your fear looks like. Once you have that picture, talk to it. Begin to interact with it. Begin a dialogue. See if you can begin to analyze what's going on and isolate a little bit. And then my bet will be your picture will start to change too, giving you some answers and some solutions that you didn't have before. Thanks for watching. I hope if you like this video, you like the video. I hope if you want to learn more about systems, you subscribe. And make any comments down below about what you've done or what you've learned. If you need to find a mind map, you'll find it right down in my description below. Again, I'm Brett, your favorite shrink, and thanks for watching My 5 Minds. Take care.